Okay, it's time to cut. What? That's right. That's right.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your host, Mongo Slade, and today we're going to talk about the Gauntlet match in the Elimination Chamber changes and the Miz and everything involving the WWE Championship right here in this episode. So, before we get into the episode of Raw, I want to get my thoughts on the concept of having a gauntlet right before the Elimination Chamber. What you're telling me is the same match I'm going to pay for, you're going to give away on free TV. So the same 6 people who are going to have a match on Raw are going to be wrestling again just 6 days later, and with a different winner and in different order, just with a cage around it. I mean, this seems like if you give me free hamburgers, what's the incentive for me to pay for them, right? Like, the Elimination Chamber is a match that is special. It's supposed to be special. It only comes around once a year. There are no Elimination Chamber matches in July. There aren't any in June. There aren't any in August. So you really should, like, it's like giving away a Royal Rumble on TV, right? Like, it's like, okay, we're going to give away this 25-man Royal Rumble, and this is just a preview for the actual Royal Rumble. We're going to give away this, it's not going to be 90 seconds. It's going to be 22 seconds. It's like, it's not really the same match, but it's really the same damn match. It's like when they did that SmackDown Rumble. They did the exact same fucking match they just did a couple of days prior, only with 15 people and only on television. It's like, it's the same thing, Like, you're asking people to pay $9.99 to see the same thing you just gave away on Raw. That's the problem. And it shows that you just have... Look, there has to be some other way for you to come up with, to find out who comes in last. How about we just don't know who comes in last? Like, I don't understand what WWE is obsessed with, telling us, like, killing the surprise factor in things and killing the heat in things. Like, you didn't, like, the more these people fight, the less you pay to see them fight. Like, okay, we should have just given us 3 singles matches instead of 1 30-fucking-minute match. Could have gave us 3 10-minute matches. And I know some of these guys have been beaten to death. I get that. But you still could have done something different. You could have done something different. You could have had them, pick numbers out of a random thing, and those 2 people had to fight each other, and the loser comes in first and the winner comes in last. Something like that. But we didn't even need to do that. We don't need to know who's coming in last. It's not an important part of the match. And as a matter of fact, not knowing who's coming in is an important part of the match. Now, also knowing who comes in last can be important. And I think that's where they were going for here, was to try to make who comes in last important. For storytelling purposes, right? Okay, fine. We still didn't need to have this whole match all over, right up front, which tells us that maybe we won't be getting the same match. Maybe. But let's talk about Raw now, since I preambled and talked about my feelings on the entire concept of the gauntlet before the match anyways. It's stupid. We spent 10 minutes with The Miz talking. With the Miz, with Drew McIntyre. And look, I'm going to be honest. The more you see Drew McIntyre paired up with The Miz, the less important Drew McIntyre seems. Like, when you look at Roman, right? Roman does not spend a lot of time with people who don't matter, right? Like, Roman doesn't spend 15 minutes talking to people who do not matter in the grand scheme of things. Like, The Miz doesn't fucking matter. If The Miz was going to take himself out of this match, he should have just did this promo and skipped the first 8 minutes of the promo and went straight into the, I'm taking myself out of this match for this reason. But he had to spend the first 5 or 6 or 7 minutes antagonizing Drew for no reason, because you're not going to fight him. Again, saying that he's got the money in the bank, talking about Sheamus, talking about the pressure. And look, I'm not saying that Ben's not a bad promo. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is his shit is so much fluff. There's too much fluff. Get to the fucking point. Like, okay, so here's a tip. Like, when I talked about the Mammoth questions, right? One of the, like, the screenwriting questions, like, that shit became so, it cleared my mind so much to what's wrong with WWE. Is you put two people on the screen, you have to explain why those two people are there. What is the goal that you're trying to achieve? And does the dialogue make sense? Is the dialogue boring? It doesn't matter what the fuck the Miz has to say if I don't care what he's saying. He's not saying anything that matters until this point. So then guess what? Just get to that point. Just get to the point where he's talking about something that matters. The important part of this promo was the Miz was taking himself out of the match. That's the point, right? So, okay, we had Miz antagonize Drew McIntyre for no reason. McIntyre headbutted him. I don't know why he goes to the headbutt instead of just punching the guy. Then he grabs Miz's Money in the Bank and he tosses it. And then Miz gets up and he starts talking about how he thinks he's so far ahead of everyone else. And now he will be cashing in the Money in the Bank. But that doesn't mean he's going to cash in the Money in the Bank. It just means he wants to increase the pressure. He wants to control the situation. And because he can do that, he doesn't need to win the Elimination Chambers. Therefore, he won't be in it. Okay? You could have done that last week. You could have done that when The Miz was announced to be in the Elimination Chamber match. You could have just said, The Miz said, I don't want to be in it. I don't need to win this. Because the Elimination Chamber match is dangerous. That's what you've been telling us the whole time. That's why it makes sense for The Miz to not want to be in it. And that really should have been the concept that Miz was talking about. This match is dangerous. You could possibly get hurt. People have been hurt in the Elimination Chamber matches. I could get hurt in the Elimination Chamber match. Therefore, I'm backing out. I don't need to be in it. Therefore, I'm out. That could have taken all of 4 minutes. You take what could be 2 minutes of material and make it 10 minutes of material. That shit causes people to be bored. All right? And I really stopped paying attention after a while. I'm like, it's another segment where Drew McIntyre is sitting with The Miz, and The Miz is talking, and The Miz is talking, and The Miz is talking. And Drew gets upset because The Miz is talking, and The Miz just keeps talking. He keeps poking, he keeps prodding. McIntyre hits him. It happens the same way every fucking time. So when you talk about whether Drew McIntyre is a draw, or Drew McIntyre is not a draw, look who they fucking pair him up with. They're not putting him in there with anybody who does anything exciting. They put him in there for fucking Miz to keep droning on and on and on about nothing. Of course people are going to start tuning out. Who the fuck cares? Get to the fucking point. The point is he's taking himself out of the Elimination Chamber match. Okay, let's get to the fucking point. All right? This pisses me off because they keep doing this to this guy. It's been like every other week he's stuck with the fucking Miz. Every week. Like, The Miz just keep haunting him with the Money in the Bank and never actually doing anything. Just getting beat up. And then, I still got the Money in the Bank though. It's like, that's no progress. You're a hamster on a wheel, man. You just keep going in circles and circles and circles with the fucking Miz. Okay, stop it. Stop. Move on. Do something else. Now, The Miz taking himself out of the Money in the Bank was good. His delivery of the promo was good. The content near the end, where he actually took himself out of the match, was good. Where he says that he's going to be WWE champion or Universal champion because he wants the SmackDown guys to feel the pressure as well. He says he's going to be content being awesome, which is, of course, a line he took from Edge. Because Edge says, you're just content being awesome. And Miz is like, yes, I'm going to content being awesome and being the WWE champion. You know? So, it's like he turned it around on him. Makes sense. I like that. Okay, fine. We finally got there. So, The Miz goes to Adam Pearce. And he says he thanks Adam Pearce for the opportunity. But he says that, he wants a must-see attraction to take his spot in the Elimination Chamber and suggests John Morrison. Adam Pearce says he'll think about it. So then Adam Pearce is walking around aimlessly, considering. And then Kofi shows up. And Kofi and Xavier Woods pitched that Kofi, a former WWE champion, should be put into the Elimination Chamber match. And Adam Pearce is like, that's interesting. And then Miz comes out of nowhere and says, wait, look, we got an understanding here. I thought I get to pick who is in this match. And Adam Pearce was like, I didn't say you could pick, but if you beat Kofi, if Kofi wins, he's in. If Miz wins, Jomo gets in. John Morrison gets in. I like that idea because that created a match with stakes, right? You needed another match with stakes. That match has stakes. It makes sense. So now you have people who actually care about a Kofi Kingston versus Miz match. Now, that could have been the main event of the show. And you could have given that a little bit of time to tell the story of whether John Morrison is going to get in or whether The Miz is going to get in. Or whether Kofi's going to get in. So then we get Drew McIntyre. I mean, not Drew McIntyre, but Sheamus. Goddamn, my mind is fucked. Anyway, so Sheamus cuts a promo basically saying that he and Drew McIntyre agreed to fight one-on-one. It was a verbal agreement between two mates. But then this daft Shane McMahon came up out of nowhere with this Elimination Chamber idea. So then, of course, he says he's going to win the Gauntlet. And he fully expects Drew to be eliminated by the time he even gets in the Gauntlet. Not in the Gauntlet, but in the Elimination Chamber. Because he's going to come in last. All right. Again, the promo meant nothing. It was empty. You really... it's a lot of this stuff on Raw. I really, reading that memo really fucked my head up. Because I'm sitting here thinking like, man, imagine how much fluff can get cut out of Raw. Just by getting straight to the fucking point. You know? And... people meander too much, you know. Sometimes the meanderings are fun, but sometimes it's not, you know. Sheamus meandering a little bit at the beginning of his promo was fine. Talking about the Gauntlet is fine. Everything is fine because it was short. You know, it was only like a minute maybe. But when you have a 10-minute promo and it's full of nothing, I don't get it. I don't see the point in that. So the next match is Kofi Kingston. The match was Kofi Kingston versus The Miz. This was pretty solid. The Miz doesn't get a lot of credit for being a good worker. Kofi also doesn't get a lot of credit for being a good worker. Kofi doesn't get a lot of credit for mostly anything. Like, Kofi is a great all-around performer. Like, he can work. You know, he's a decent high flyer. He doesn't do a lot of flippity-doos, but he does some good high-flying stuff. He's very durable. Like, Kofi is hardly ever hurt. Even though I know he's just coming off of a broken jaw, but he's hardly ever hurt. You know, he has an exciting style still. It's not as exciting as it was in 2007, but it's still an exciting style, still a fan-friendly style. And The Miz is still a very capable heel. You know, he works his match. The Miz works his match, which is fairly safe. You're not going to get hurt in a Miz match unless you hurt yourself. And, you know, so he's going to do really basic offense. But he plays the character well. He knows when to show his ass. He knows when it's to be aggressive. He knows what he's doing. So this was pretty solid. And Kofi just wins with Trouble in Paradise. So that was pretty damn cool. So Kofi is in the chamber, but he still has to wrestle in the Gauntlet later. So you see that Kofi is similar to Kofi Mania all over again, right? Because Kofi has to go through a gauntlet, which was one of his many things that he had to deal with during Kofi Mania. So Randy Orton cuts a promo. Randy Orton talks about his unfinished business with Drew McIntyre is still unfinished. And then he meanders to talking about The Fiend because he has to remind people that he's feuding with The Fiend. Then he says he's going to walk to the edge of the earth to get what he wants. And that he's not going to walk in the ring with 5 opponents, but 5 victims. And before he really gets to talking and doing too much, we get a cut in from Alexa Bliss. So then we get Alexa Bliss and she's spreading ashes. She's spreading ashes and there's a candle and she's talking about from the fire the Fiend was destroyed, but he will be reborn. And then we pan out and there's a sky camera and she's sitting in the middle of a pentagram with the big eyes. I think she's wearing like some type of white contacts. And of course she's all giggly and really, really excited that she's going to do this spell that's going to bring the Fiend back. I thought this was very effective. This was a really good way to bring Alexa back. I know Alexa's been dealing with stalkers sending stuff to her house, or, you know, some weirdo online trying to find out where she lives and all this type of stuff. So it was good that she was able to come back, or at least just to do this. You know, she didn't actually appear on the show live, but she was able to take time out to actually shoot this. And I feel like it was very effective. It was something like out of the craft. You know, pentagrams are usually the go-to with occult stuff. You know, I was really looking for somebody to go for like full metal alchemist, where like there's a real archaic alchemic thing on the ground. But a pentagram is just pretty much an easy go-to. It doesn't take a lot of knowledge about that kind of thing, but it looks cool. You know, it had a cool sort of demonic feel to it. So I was fine with this. You know, she didn't overstay her welcome either. So that was fine. So then we also get, I'm going to mention this here because I feel like it was kind of important, that Braun Strowman appears. And he accosts Adam Pearce, and he's talking about, Adam Pearce, you better explain why I ain't in that chamber match. And then, like, you're not the former WWE champion. I'm a former Universal champion. You're like, that's not the same thing, which it's clearly not. It's a different belt. Why has this guy got a box brain? What's up with this? Of course, all of this was just so he can threaten to do bad things to Shane McMahon, which I'm interested in. I hope that we're not going to see Shane McMahon wrestle Braun Strowman. Here's what I think is going to happen. And I shouldn't be talking about that in this point, in this video, but I'm going to try to limit my workload here. I think they're going to bring back Dabba-Kato. And I think that's really what we're going to get back here. Is we're going to loop back around to Raw Underground. Is that Strowman is going to threaten to abuse Shane McMahon. And Shane is going to not fight Strowman himself, but going to bring back his monster, Dabba-Kato, from Raw Underground. And who's going to try to get his revenge on Strowman. That's what I expect to happen. So, you know, hey, that sounds like cool to me. Like, I don't have a problem with Dabba-Kato, a.k.a. Babatunde. I don't have a problem with the guy. I know a lot of people was giving him shit because he was a sort of a generic giant guy. But there's nothing wrong with generic giants. You know, it's fun. You know, it's fun watching big guys throw other big guys around. They're monster trucks. Let them do what they do. Some people like race trucks, race cars. Some people like sports cars. Some people like monster trucks. There's going to be out there, always going to be people out there who like the generic giants, who do like shoulder blocks and stuff like that, you know, throwing guys around. There's a place for it. I say go for it. So then we get to the Gauntlet. So the Gauntlet started with AJ Styles and Kofi Kingston. So AJ Styles cuts a promo talking about Kofi Mania being remade, or is it a sequel to Kofi Mania? So Kofi Mania 2. And he says it almost seems like it's Kofi's destiny. But he's going to end his dream, and he considers this just a warm-up to winning the WWE title at the Elimination Chamber. Now, this match was pretty good. Like, these two guys have really good chemistry. It's kind of sad that they don't work against each other a lot more, and that Kofi doesn't have those top-level feuds. Like, Kofi always gets shoved back in the tag team. Like, he can work on this level with these guys on this level, you know? They did a spot where Almost grabbed Xavier Woods, and they actually had a camera angle that was hid up, that was pointed up to make it seem like, you know, Almost was lynching him. It just looks like he was, like Xavier Woods being lynched. You know, like he was dangling from a fucking tree branch, and then he gets thrown over the barricade, and of course Kofi, you know, went crazy. Like, what do you think you're doing? Like he didn't hit him or nothing. Even though you kind of should hit somebody in that situation, you just throw your friend over the barricade over like 7 feet in the air. You know, you probably should hit him, but you know, you don't want to get disqualified or anything like that. So, I mean, it makes sense. But this was a very interesting camera angle because as Almost, you know, had Xavier Woods up, they didn't cut. They didn't cut away. They just let it linger. Like this guy was dangling Xavier Woods in the air like this and then threw him over the barricade. It's amazing how much more powerful things could be when you don't cut away from them. When you just, I know the angle might have been a little weird, but how much more powerful that visual was when they didn't cut away. So AJ Styles won with the phenomenal forearm. Kofi Kingston did great. Drew McIntyre came in next. They had a pretty good match between him and AJ Styles. I hate that he cannot have a straight up match with AJ Styles. It's always got to be TLC or in the middle of a fucking gauntlet when AJ just wrestled a match. just can't build to a match between these two guys. I mean, whatever. Anyway, Drew McIntyre won. At this point, I was kind of questioning, like, why are these guys fighting so hard for this spot? You know, like, they're putting maximum effort into this. Now, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but you would think that, okay, I could just hit a guy in the balls and get out of this, right? Like, save your energy for the actual match when the title is on the line. That's also why this doesn't make any sense. Like, you got these guys out here really putting their bodies on the line just for the opportunity to come in last, so they have to wrestle the same guys all over again. It's just hit the guy in the fucking balls, come in third. Doesn't matter. I mean, if you're going to get beat up in the match where the title is on the line. I know I'm feeling very surly today. I don't know. I'm feeling like I'm in a bad, like I'm approaching this from a bad mood, but I'm not. Like, really, I thoroughly enjoyed Raw. I thought Raw was fine. It's just that there's so many logic failures that it's like, if you were a heel in this match, I'd have just kicked Drew McIntyre in the balls. So what if I don't come in last? It doesn't matter. So anyway, as long as I'm in the match, it shouldn't matter. Anyway, Drew wins with the Claymore. So then Jeff Hardy comes in. They had Jeff Hardy in a small box doing a promo, and he says that, you know, he built his whole career on taking risks, and that taking risks is always going to be necessary when it comes to the WWE Championship. So it's time to get creative. I was like, get creative. Okay. I'm like, all right, cool. Now, Jeff, of course, loses. Claymore. Pretty solid match between the two of them. I just wish the more you see Jeff get pinned, the more you just kind of like, why? He was so much better on SmackDown. Right? Yeah, they were calling him a drunk, and they were doing the whole Jeff Hardy's a drunk thing. But they actually treated him like a star on SmackDown. He's not treated like shit on Raw. It's like we're dealing with somebody who's not Jeff Hardy, right? You know, like, it's really weird. You know, it's strange. Like, to some degree, they treat Rey Mysterio the same way. It's really weird how they treat these guys. And then people are like, oh, they over push older people. It's like, yeah, but then you got these guys who are completely mobile and fine, and they get treated like shit, like Jeff and Ray. Like, they've been beating themselves up forever. Like, why even have Jeff or Ray out there if it's not for something useful? Like, these guys are, you know, like, Jeff Hardy has been banging his head and beating his body around forever. He should be a part-timer. Ray should be too. They shouldn't be on a full-time schedule. Neither one of them. Treat them like stars. They're stars. Treat them like stars. All right. The next match was Randy Orton. So Randy Orton comes out, and Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre have their 960th match, and then Alexa Bliss is all over the LED boards. Like, she, of course, turns out all the lights. Alexa Bliss is like, like, the, you know, kind of like the giggle. She's taking over the entire Thunderdome with her face on every board. And Randy, of course, is distracted because, you know, this is actually worth being distracted over, because this was weird as hell. The referee, of course, didn't give a shit and counted Randy Orton out because, as usual, the wrestler is completely and totally distracted by anything. A pin drops, he's like, what's that? The referee is kind of like, doesn't matter. 1, 2, you know, like, he's focused on his job and he's not the guy in the fight. You know, like, other people are throwing punches at each other. They get distracted by anything. The guy whose job it is to count, he's laser focused on actually counting and making sure you don't break the rules. It's bizarre. It's real bizarre. But I love the Alexa Bliss stuff. I'm not tired of it yet. Like, I'm tired of the camera magic, but this was something simple. It didn't require a lot. It doesn't require a lot of breaking of kayfabe, or, you know, me having to sit and imagine that she's done something weird. Like, you can have characters take over LED boards. You know, you could do hacking, the hacker stuff. You can do that. That's no problem. So then Randy Orton gets counted out, of course. He still eats a Claymore because why not? You know, fuck him. So Randy Orton gets counted out. Then we get Sheamus and McIntyre, which of course makes sense because this is the story of Sheamus and McIntyre. So Sheamus attacks Drew McIntyre from behind. They have a bit of a match. They didn't put their all into it. Of course, I hate the fact that they had Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus for the first time in a fucking gauntlet. And then they're going to have it a second time in the fucking Elimination Chamber. So, hey, you thought this feud was going to be interesting. We're going to give the match away twice. And then, what, charge me for it again on Peacock? Come on. Come on. You want to build these things up to make them special. Again, the more people fight, if I keep giving you free hamburgers, what is your incentive to buy hamburgers? I don't know. Maybe one day we'll have to have that conversation. Anyway, well, that's just wrestling in general, you know. But anyway, Sheamus wins with the Brogue Kick, which made sense because Drew McIntyre had been in the match for like 30 minutes. So this is actually Drew McIntyre's, I think this is his first pinfall loss since winning the title, right? And he won the title in November. So he hasn't been pinned that often. I think this was the first time. So I'm pretty sure he hasn't been pinned that many times. Unless he got pinned sometime between, maybe during the AJ Styles feud he got pinned. I don't know. I don't remember. But anyway, this was one of the rare times McIntyre got pinned clean. As clean as can be anyway, because, you know, a Gauntlet, he had to wrestle 3 other guys. But basically, Sheamus on a post-match promo said that he's going to prove this not a fluke on Sunday, and that he's going to walk in as the odds-on favorite, and he's going to win the WWE title. Okay, fair enough. So, what do I think about the Gauntlet match? Was fine. I purposely did not focus too much on the match because I didn't want to spoil it for myself. I actually want to watch this match on Sunday and enjoy it. So I basically denied myself. I went and fixed the door to my bedroom to some parts of this match. So I did miss certain things. Like so there might have been some things in the match that I missed. Doesn't matter. Like I had the TV on. I was like, I don't need to see these guys have so much contact and then have to sit down and watch this shit again in 6 days. So I went and fixed my door, and it was a successful job. I did a good job. So that was fine. But the match itself was fine. What I did see, and I watched everybody come in and everybody get eliminated. So it wasn't like I just absolutely didn't watch anything. But I did, like, during commercials, I fixed my door. So, because I was like, this needs to be done. Anyway, so the match was pretty solid. Now, a lot of people have said that maybe when it comes to Kofi Kingston being in this match, that you have to take Kofi out and put Mustafa Ali in it in order to further the Mustafa Ali Kofi Kingston story. And I think, yes, you do have to do that. You do have to do it, you know? And I think that Mustafa Ali not being on this show to sort of make that happen was kind of a miss, you know? Now, I get it that Elimination Chamber, he could always attack him in the parking lot. He could always jump him right before the match. I think Edge did it before, where he hit Kofi in the back with a chair during Elimination Chamber once, and then he just took his spot in the match. I remember they actually did that one time, back when they didn't care about Kofi at all. Not like they care that much more about him today, but they literally had Edge hit him in the back with a chair. And I'm pretty sure one of you guys who are better, more versed in dates and times could tell me what Elimination Chamber that was. But I remember Edge lost the title earlier that night. And then he just decided to jump in the World Heavyweight title, Elimination Chamber, and won that. And I was just kind of like, fuck this show. Like, really, like, the shit is a logic fail completely. Like, the guy's not even on this brand. How did he even get in the match and yet alone win it? It was ridiculous. But I could see them doing that again. You know, having maybe Retribution jump the New Day. And, of course, you have other options. You can, it's like, in this situation, considering it's a theme of the WWE champion you have to be a former WWE champion. You can't have Mustafa Ali in it because he's not a former WWE champion. So if you were to take Kofi out, you would have to find another former WWE champion to put in there, right? So what I can see them doing, though, is trying to injure Kofi to prevent him from being in the match. Or maybe doing something slick like they storm the chamber to take him out. So maybe at some point in the match, the chamber is open because somebody just got eliminated, and then all of Retribution rushed the damn chamber and beat up everybody. but specifically beat the hell out of Kofi Kingston and leave him laying, and that's how he loses. I think that would put a lot of heat on Mustafa Ali, and I think that actually would prove that they're trying to elevate him, because if he gets involved with this title picture, he's in the title picture, like not fake fighting the champion, obviously, but that he's around that title picture, that they're elevating his storyline from being something that's nothing in the middle of the card on Raw to something that can be a focal point going forward. And I think that's actually very, very good for him. But not having a promo from Mustafa Ali, not seeing his face, do anything in relation to this, it was a miss. But they do have some time to actually fix it, and they can actually tell that story throughout the Elimination Chamber show. Jeff Hardy, again, I feel bad because Jeff is great. I love Jeff Hardy, one of my favorite wrestlers. He has no chance of winning. Sheamus, because he won this gauntlet, it's almost guaranteed he's going to lose. Like, why set the heel up to look like he's going to win and then treat him, pull the rug right up from underneath him? Whatever. AJ Styles is amazing. He's great. I don't know what they're doing with him, because AJ just seems to win all the time. And then, he's not feuding with anybody. This thing with Almost isn't going anywhere. They just kind of banter back and forth. They have friendly, they're being buddies, but it's not going anywhere. It's like, we still haven't explained why Almost is there. We still haven't explained what he's supposed to do. Like, I understand, like, he's his bodyguard, kind of. But, why does he need a bodyguard? Like, if somebody was after AJ Styles, it would make sense that he would have to have a bodyguard. But he just had a bodyguard out of nowhere. He just appeared with a bodyguard. So, whatever. It doesn't matter. But AJ is not going to win, even though I wouldn't be mad if he did win. I would actually be quite happy if AJ Styles or Kofi Kingston won this match. And I say that as a huge Drew McIntyre fan. So do I think The Miz is going to cash in the Money in the Bank? No, I don't think so at all. I think that the idea, they like the idea of The Miz with the threat, and the idea of having 4 world title matches on the show is pretty strange. Like you could potentially, well, not 4, it would be 3, because you have Roman's going to fight the person who wins the Chamber, and they're basically saying that The Miz is going to fight whoever wins the Chamber too. That's essentially what they're telling you. But the Chamber is for the title, so that's 3 title matches. So I get that. I don't think The Miz is going to cash in though, because I'm almost certain that McIntyre is going to win. And McIntyre is probably going to win from like the 4th position. So he's going to be in there for a little while, but he's not going to be having to go in first and fight through everybody, and then be dog tired, bloody. Like, Cena was. Like, when Cena lost the title to, I believe it was Edge, he had been jumped by 2 guys, Carlito and Chris Masters. He had been beaten up by 2 guys. It's amazing how Super Cena managed to beat those 2 guys too, by the way. It was mad dumb. That's one of the worst chamber matches ever. Anyway, maybe I should do a list of like top 5 Elimination Chamber matches. Anyway, that match was bad. Anyway, that match and the other match that Cena was in when Batista came out, they told a similar story. That, you go through the chamber, it's a very, very tough match. You're beat up, you're dusted. Here comes this other guy, as fresh as a daisy. He could beat you for the title. But then, that's believable. But the problem here is that the opponent is The Miz, who is probably the most beatable wrestler in the business. Like, he's almost Dolph Ziggler level with anybody. The Miz can get pinned by Mansoor on Monday and still just be like 10 minutes later, I'm The Miz and I'm awesome. Still grinning because nothing matters. So ultimately, it's hard for you to take The Miz seriously as a real threat, even with the Money in the Bank, even attacking people from behind, even after an Elimination Chamber match, because he loses so much that he have to show up with a cannon and a nun in order to have any opportunity of winning this match. It would have to be a miracle. You would have to see Michael and his wings appearing and touching Drew McIntyre to have him fall down for The Miz to even get a 2 count in this match. That's how much I don't believe that The Miz is going to actually have any opportunity of winning this match. You know, there's just no way. So the threat is going to remain, and he's not going to go anywhere near Roman. So you can forget it. I thought Roman probably put the kibosh on that before he even heard about it. Like, The Miz needs to stay his ass on Raw. He can threaten to put the Universal title, but I don't want to even be seen on the same room with him, because The Miz is a heat killer. Anyway, all right, I talked too much. All right, thank you guys for listening. If you want to support my channel, hit me in the tip jar. Send me some cash through Cash App. I know a lot of people are, they're losing power because it's snowing and stuff like that. Be careful. Also, use the hashtag 3count commentaries to support the channel. And I'll talk to you guys later, man. Hope you guys enjoy Raw. Hope you guys will enjoy Elimination Chamber. And I'll talk to you guys later.
Da da da